After Bitcoin created the bullish divergence, we have seen an ever so slight bounce towards the upside for Bitcoin, but right now we're still trading in a very important downward sloping trend for Bitcoin. And on today's update video, I will talk about the most important support levels trading below us, what is going to be happening next for Bitcoin if we're going to be looking at the liquidation heat map, the funding rates which are officially turning negative on the daily time frame, and I will be discussing what this means for Bitcoin. So we'll be talking about this and many more important charts on today's update video. So without any further ado, don't forget to slap with that like button once again back above 1,000 likes. That will be absolutely incredible. And with that being said, let me jump straight away in towards the content, because on the imminent short term right now on Bitcoin, we can clearly start to see that we're still creating the downward sloping resistance line on the top side. But more importantly, just hours ago, while I was asleep, of course, Bitcoin saw another massive drop towards the downside and actually, of course, created an even lower low and actually took out potentially all the liquidity that was laying over here. So Bitcoin once again created a massive move towards the downside, and we went below $60,000 again here. And once again, the market is not accepting prices below $60,000, and that is why Bitcoin bounced once again very quickly towards the upside. But you have to understand that currently, if I am looking at the Bitcoin price action, we are clearly seeing a downward sloping trend getting initiated, and this downward sloping trend is getting accelerated faster and faster, and at some point potentially we could be having a waterfall here on Bitcoin if this trend really continues, because the faster, of course, the lower highs are coming, the faster Bitcoin could also come down here. So this is, of course, very important to pay attention towards. A positive side here is, of course, that the lows are getting not really exponential, and we're still holding up this same level right here. But as soon as we do lose this region of support, I think, yeah, potentially then Bitcoin could fall even lower. So let's see how things are going to be playing out here. The Bitcoin, the most important support right now is $60,000 for sure. And if we break below that level, we're definitely going to be having some very big problems on Bitcoin. And yes, while everything is happening, we're trading in a downward sloping trend. That is, of course, already what I discussed. But here on the 4-hourly time frame, Bitcoin created a bullish divergence. I discussed this on yesterday's video, and actually after the bullish divergence got confirmed, which I talked about in yesterday's video, Bitcoin surged from the point I discussed it in the video with more than 5% still towards the upside. So that was actually quite a significant bump towards the upside again. But right now, I think this bullish divergence played out. We have even created a bearish divergence here on the top side, where you can see, of course, a lower high getting created and a higher high on the RSI. So currently, Bitcoin is just resetting its indicators once again. But if I'm looking at the bigger things of it all and the liquidity, we're still seeing that an approximately $3 billion worth of Bitcoin short liquidations are laying above us, sitting around 71.6K. And yes, really, once Bitcoin is going to touch this level, we're going to see a massive, massive short squeeze. And while all this is happening, while the majority of the liquidity is being built up above us, the funding rates are negative. And if we're looking at the funding rate chart, we can see that clearly 2 days right now here has had negative funding. And if you know, you know. I discussed this so many times. We are in a Bitcoin bull market and the funding rates are going negative. And I discussed this many, many times before. And in the previous bull market, every single time, once the funding rates were going negative only for 1 day, which was over here, which was over here, which was over here. And if I'm going to look even further, we saw it also happening over here. Guys, every single time, once the funding goes negative, and you can clearly see it from this chart from the previous bull market, it is an historical opportunity that Bitcoin is bottoming. And we are currently sitting in a bull market. And while we're in the bull market, we're seeing that the majority of the traders are actually trading short. So what we're seeing right now here across YouTube, across X, everyone is flipping bearish. Everyone is not bullish anymore. And we're seeing an entire sentiment shift across a lot of retailers. But this is exactly what you want if you're going to be having a retracement. You want everyone to panic. You want everyone to think we're going to go lower. And you, of course, want everyone to be shorting. And that is currently happening. And usually once everyone is going to be going short, or everyone is leading towards one direction, we're always going to go to the other one. And that is why I think the liquidity is being built up above us, everyone is short. It makes a lot of sense that we're eventually going to be seeing a very strong bounce towards the upside. And once I'm talking about a strong bounce, I'm talking about a very fast move back towards the upside. And I'm not quite sure if it's going to be happening from off this point, or if we're either going to go a little bit lower and it's going to be happening from that point. And honestly, if Bitcoin goes a little bit deeper, the opportunity or the risk to reward would only be far greater. So yes, I would still love to see Bitcoin to come down a little bit here, because I've got set multiple orders up around $58,000 to $57,000. So if Bitcoin comes down a little bit lower, I would definitely benefit from it significantly. So I would love to see Bitcoin come down a little bit lower. But of course, if it already bounced from here on, I've been once again right, because this box right here, the orange box, is my accumulation zone. But I still think that we could take out the liquidity that was trading over here in the market. So we take out the liquidity and boom, from that point, move back towards the upside. So I'm very convinced that we're either bottoming right now, or that we're going to go a little bit lower, so a few percent lower, and we're going to be bottoming at that stage. And if Bitcoin is going to be going to the low of this range, it is just a 22% correction, which is not bad at all for a Bitcoin bull market, because if we're looking about what kind of corrections we've got so far, we've only seen 20% corrections to 22% corrections in this region. And yes, if we were to be getting a 22% correction for Bitcoin right now, it actually would equal an opportunity we have seen earlier in this year, because always once we're going to get 20% corrections in this bull market, it is always an historical good buying opportunity. And yes, while we're seeing this right now, we're still in this massive consolidation phase, which is looking by far extremely bullish in my opinion. And yes, while all this is happening, we've seen actually once again the data come in from the spot Bitcoin ETF. Actually, this week has been quite horrific, and we've only seen outflows and outflows, and still every single day we're seeing huge outflows from GBTC and not a lot of inflows from BlackRock. So that is actually quite interesting to be seeing. Yesterday we hit our lowest inflow of all time on BlackRock, but still there are some inflows on BlackRock, which is of course quite positive. But yeah, the inflows are not that big anymore here. And yes, while all was happening as well, we're still seeing that Tether is still increasing their market cap, which means there's still more liquidity entering the market. As there's more liquidity coming in, eventually the price of Bitcoin is going to be following. So liquidity is very important for a market. And as more USDT is getting minted, we know there is more money flowing in towards the ecosystem. And as more money is entering the ecosystem, the higher Bitcoin potentially could even go afterwards. So we can clearly see it. Price and liquidity moves in one line, and I think that yes, this trend is looking very strong, and I don't think it's going to be stopping anytime soon. And of course, if we see the trend stop, we are definitely going to be having a different bias in the market, but for now on, there's no reason to be pivoting on this bias. So guys, if you want to be trading any of these very big breakouts or any of these very big moves that are about to be coming, make sure to check out in the link description to Bybit, because currently you can claim a free $200 trade. All you need to do for it is go to the link description of today's video, press on this link right here, and then you come to this page where you can press on register to claim. If you do so, all you need to do to get this free $200 trade is go and sign up an account, of course. Deposit $100 into your account in your first 7 days, and you are already able to claim your free $200 trade on Bitcoin or Ethereum, whatever you prefer. So if you want to be trading on the best exchange out there, check it out in the link description of today's video. It's a massive deposit bonus you could be claiming right now, and yeah, it's just a free $200, so why don't you grab it? And at the same time, while everything is happening, only 17 hours left before the Bitcoin halving. Wow. We are coming very close right now here, which makes me of course extremely bullish, because the most gains are always realized after the halving and not before. And all we're seeing right now is maybe a halving correction right now. People that are exiting before the halving. But of course, the smart money is not exiting right now, because the smart money knows that Bitcoin always goes the most exponential after the halving. So we're just going to get less sell pressure as time is going to continuing, because there's going to be less mining rewards from the miners. So it's interesting to see how the market is going to be developing this time around after the halving. I'm very curious, but there are going to be a lot of things in play after the halving comes here. So I think that this is a good time to be bullish on Bitcoin. I mean, on the weekly time frame, we're seeing a massive retest, which of course also looks quite bullish in my opinion. So yeah, Bitcoin is just looking good, and you have to just understand that the majority of the gains always come after the halving and not before. And once you realize that, you really start to realize that there's so much more to come for Bitcoin. And the risk to reward right now for Bitcoin is not all too bad. But let's say we're sitting around 150K. Of course, the risk to reward of buying Bitcoin is worse. But we're only sitting at $60,000, which in my opinion is still quite low in terms of risk to reward. So yes, this was it for me in today's update video. Today was a little bit of a longer video because there were so many things to discuss here. Bitcoin had some crazy corrections, but if you did enjoy the content, if you did learn something from it, don't forget to slap all that like button, subscribe to the channel, and see you guys on the next one. Peace out. Goodbye.